Hello, everyone. First of all, thank you for watching and listening. And also, I apologize because during the summer I wasn't very active in English. The problem is that I really, really was badly overworked, and actually, September doesn't really look too well because I'm teaching every weekend. And I kind of tried not to do all the videos both in Hungarian and in English, partly because I think there is a feature with which you can translate the video. You can have some kind of I don't know how to do it. Someone told me that I shouldn't really bother. But anyhow, today the reason why I am kind of resuming my karmic astrological lessons, so to speak, is because Stadna, a TNO, an ETNOs, an extreme TNO, is turning retrograde on the 3rd of September. And then later on, of course, we are going to look at the eclipse seasons, so both the full moon and the new moon, because they are very, very fascinating eclipses. And then, of course, the equinox is going to be also an interesting space-time moment. So let's take a look at Sedna, which is a very funny TNO. I prepared you a chart and also just some facts if you are interested in Sedna. And she will be she. It's an object, but I call her she. I apologize if you don't agree, but to me, planetary deities are either female or male. And definitely Sedna is a very, very feminine archetype. So she's going to turn retrograde on September the 3rd at 1:50 Gemini, and it will be retrograde until next February and turn direct on the 12th at 0 degrees 44. So you can see that in a bare 6 months, it will simply just barely make 1 degree in a retrograde motion. This is a space-time moment that I selected when the Capricorn moon is going to do all kinds of aspects to various things. But of course, you can actually look at any space-time moment. Saturn just went back into Pisces on the 1st of September. Neptune is retrograding. It's going to join Saturn. So again, Saturn will be in Pisces for another 6 months, actually effectively not just being conjunct with Neptune, but being ruled by it. So we are going to have this mishy-mushy ideological idiot idiocy. This is how I look at it. But at least we are not going to brew war as it because actually Saturn Neptune is always about what the architect aspect, what we are going to build. And of course, in Aries, we are building violence. And the moment they go back into Pisces, both of them, hopefully, yes, we are going to brew ideology and then again violence and war. So be careful because it's not going to be so funny. Chiron and Aries are still conjunct. They will be a couple of times really tightly conjunct. And in that particular space-time moment, Mars is on the MC, Ceres is on the IC, nicely juxtaposing the idea that, of course, Mars is in detriment in Libra, but it still rules Ceres, which is retrograde in Aries, and on the angles, it always suggests that you need to fight for your future, the MC, but in a diplomatic way, not with weapons. But at the same time, on Ceres on the IC doubly represents your home, either your physical home, your family, your nurturing principle, or your homeland, or the whole world. It depends on how you interpret it. So that is what's happening, and the moon is going to make a T-square with them, a cardinal T-square, of course. So here's Sedna. Let me introduce to Sedna. The object type is an ETNO or sednoid. No wonder that this is the first of such named objects. It has a huge orbital period, 11,408 years. When I started working with Sedna, which was 10 years ago, they just gave us approximate orbital period, 12,000 years, 12,500 years. And now this is the latest calculation. Of course, it could change. And as you can see, this is the solar system. The magenta circle is Pluto. The blue one is Neptune. And you can see that Pluto is going into Neptune's orbit. And then here's Sedna. So it's an enormous orbital scope. And of course, it just shows how huge the solar system is. And the mythology is an Inuit creation story. Sedna is a creation goddess for the Inuit tribes. And it's a fascinating story. It has incest and abuse and all kinds of hybrid people in there. Very, very briefly, it has many different versions. The one that I usually teach is the version where Sedna doesn't have a mother. She lives together with her father. Actually, this is true for every version of the myth. And when she grows up, her father wants her to marry, just like every father wants, of course, for her daughter to marry. But she doesn't really like the suitors, so she keeps rejecting them. And then the father gets mad and tells her that I don't care. The next person who comes in and wants you as a wife, I'm going to give it to him. And a funny thing comes in a hooded cloak. We don't really know what he actually is. Turns out he is a birdman and takes her into a nest. It's not an igloo, but a nest. She's very, very cold. She's miserable. The father learns about it. He decides to pick her up. They start um, rowing on the ocean, but of course the birdman then notices that she's missing and goes after them. And here comes the second betrayal. The first betrayal, of course, is that the fact that he forces her to go away with this birdman, to marry the birdman. And the second betrayal is when he pushes her into the ocean, and she tries to climb back into the boat. And here it turns into a horror story, of course, because the father cuts off her fingers, her arms, her everything really. So she is unable to climb back into the boat, and she sinks down into the bottom of the ocean. And out of her digits, the sea mammals are being born. And of course, because she doesn't have any arms, she doesn't know how to comb her hair. And so the Inuit shamans, when they want to learn the secrets of the ocean, go down and have her. And then she gives them where the shoals of fish are moving. And of course, so it's creation through dissection. Oh, yes, we are going to look at it in more detail in a minute. But at the same time, her sacrifice, her mutation actually creates the food for the Inuit people. So she's really truly a creation goddess. And in comic astrological delineation, Sedna means vulnerability, victimization, separation, betrayal, and abuse, both on the personal and on the collective level. And it also is linked to the operation of free will and the ability to forgive, because the fact that she actually produces these sea mammals out of her several digits actually shows some sort of forgiveness. When I'm not allowing my severed parts to just perish, but I'm turning them into something useful for the very people that I belong to. And of course, that is why in karmic astrology, we say it is creation through dissection. And on a personal level, it usually means that whenever it is triggered, whenever it is becoming prominent, it's usually signaling a time when you can look into either your life or into the things around and notice what the non-working segments of the things are. You can toss them out and then look at the other segments which are workable and usable, and then put them together into something brand new. So that is the function of Sedna. So it's kind of like a Lego, and the child is playing with Lego, and it's kind of loses several pieces, and then the smart grown up takes it apart and builds something else out of it. So the motto for sadhana is dissect the old, discard the non-working pieces, and create something new. That is what sadhana tells us. And if we take the space-time moment on the 3rd of September and wait until sometime in the afternoon, we will have a Capricorn moon that will make exact aspects to an earth-water kite, which actually becomes exact also on the 3rd with the nodal axis, Black Moon Lilith, and Jupiter. Jupiter, of course, is in Cancer, is elevated. It is very prominent there, and the trine with Black Moon Lilith gives us the hope to create something that needs knowledge, but also stamina and perseverance and actually the attitude to do what we need to do and the willingness to do it. That's this kite expressing. It has been there for a couple of days and it will be there for another couple of days, of course. And Mars is making a T-square with the moon. And actually this whole thing is creating a crown. So the nodes, the moon-Jupiter opposition, which actually the moon in Capricorn is in its detriment, but still highlighting Jupiter, but also Mars-Jupiter square. Mars-Jupiter aspects are always about the champion, the sportsman who wants to actually to win at all costs. But this is a square; it's a cardinal square, so it is a very high impact energy that I want to win. And if you look around and see how all the war energies are escalating, not just on the Ukrainian front, but also in Gaza and everywhere, really. So people think that now we are going to win. Now we are going to. We just need to push a little bit more energy and effort. Yes, a couple of thousand people will die. Yes, a couple of thousand people will be maimed. Yes, we are burning another $1 billion for nothing. But yes, we will win. That's what the Mars Jupiter is, and the Capricorn moon is really highlighting it. And Mars moon aspects are always about hysterics. It's always about actually the native feels that someone is actually cutting her own soul or hurting her soul, but the reaction is always hysterics. So that's what the T-square is. And there's also a little tiny angel wing on the top of which there's Mars and of course the Black Moon Lilith and South Node. And this sextile is about how you can actually learn from the past and use this knowledge for yourself. There are some transcendental celestial objects, not too many. The moon has Daiki, which is the asteroid denoting just retribution. It's quite interesting. Mars has Nephthys, Hell, and Cyrus. Cyrus was a Persian ruler. He created a Persian empire actually, and he was a very how should I put it? I don't want to use big words, but actually he is like a modern age Democrat, really, a modern age someone who is trying to be very just, very nice. He didn't allow to have slaves. He didn't allow to have capital punishment, and he was a great ruler and kind of a forefather for socialists, modern day socialists, modern day Democrats. Hel is the goddess of the underworld in Norse mythology, and Nephthys, she was Seth's wife, and she's one of the Theban quadruplets: Osiris, Isis, Nephthys, and Seth. So they are the dark ones, Seth and Nephthys, and the light ones, the good ones are Osiris and Isis. So Nephthys represents the spouse or the wife or the partner of someone who is truly horrible, truly a mafia leader or just a horrible person, a dark, horrible person. But she is in love with him and no matter what, she will stand by him. So it is this committedness to the spouse. That is what it is, what it expresses. And on the mundane level, it expresses the ability to fight the war to the very end, actually, no matter what, no matter how horrible it is. Jupiter has Guinevere, another vibe archetype, nymph, of course, the nymphs, okay, who are elementals, and Vasat, which is that of Gemini, and it is the elbow of one of the twins, and it represents a world where you learn how to make decisions. And on the Black Moon Lilith, you have Amor, the little mischievous little angel who is shooting arrows and you fall in love, and Narcissus, which is self-love. That's on the Black Moon. And on the South Node, you have Aphidas, who is a rapist. He is a centaur, a really nasty centaur who drinks too much at a wedding and rapes everyone he can, and then falls asleep, and then the groom kills him in his sleep. It's a really, really nasty one. Okay, here is the sun, which is aligned with Zosma on the 3rd of September. And as you can see, Zosma is not on the ecliptic. It is the delta star of Leo, and actually it represents the spine of the celestial lion. As you can see, these are the Leo stars. Here's the circle of his head and neck, and here's Zosma, the spine. And the whole constellation is about ruling, sovereignty, how you become a ruler. And Zosma is the place where, according to the Hercules myth, he breaks the spine of the Nemean lion. This is how he conquers the Nemean lion. And this is a world where we learn after some sort of real horrible life where we are broken, how to be put together again. But it is always linked to rulership. It's always linked to sovereignty, how your bones are broken and then you need to be repaired. That is what Zosma represents. And the sun is aligned on the 3rd of September, on that day. So that's it. That is what Sedna is representing at the moment, turning backwards. And whenever any object, any celestial object turns retrograde, it allows us to reflect on what is happening. And of course, what is happening is that the world is being dissected and reoriented, redone. There's this new world order coming. Hopefully not what the World Economic Forum wants, and hopefully not what Agenda 2030 means, according to the UN, which is a horrible plan, a real horrible plan. And I'm just hoping that, of course, they are pushing it, and they are kind of all kinds of horrible, really horrible rules that are trying to push on the people at certain places. Hopefully they won't succeed, but of course a lot depends on you guys. A lot depends on us, what we are going to put up with and what we don't. And this gives us, of course, the ability to rearrange our lives, to rearrange to realize what is non-working, and then throw them out without any second thought, and just look at the pieces that are there and create something that is workable, usable, and good. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.